Hello, boys and girls. Oh, that was stupid. Hello. Here we are. It's another Wednesday or Friday when you're watching it, but Wednesday when I'm making it because that's comic book day. But I release it for the Friday because it's a thing for the weekend. It makes sense in my head, and I'm the one making it, so that's all I really need. I'm in sweatpants because my jeans are wet because I had to go get my second vaccination shot, and as soon as I left the house, it started raining because, why wouldn't it? But fuck it. That's not what we're here for. I don't know what we're here for, but it's not that. We're here because it's another segment of weekend reading. So, last week, I've been kind of working this out in my head as I go, so I'm kind of establishing how am I going to do this. My first week, I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. Then I established that I was going to, take the books I was reading that week, pick, give a detail, tell you what all three were, and then pick which one I thought would be the best. And then the next week, I would tell you if I thought that one was the best. Changing things up a little bit this week. And that would be the only one I talked about was the best one. This week we're going to go back over things a little bit because I actually liked everything I read this week. And what I read this past Friday, and to refresh your memory, it was Deceased by Tom Taylor and Trevor Hairsine. Legion of Superheroes Volume 2, The Trial of the Legion by Brian Michael Bendis and Ryan Sook, and a bunch of other artists were involved too in various other ways. And then, of course, Justice League of America, The Nail, which the writing and art was done by Alan Davis, with the inking being done by Mark Farmer. This is the one, The Nail, just JLA The Nail, the Elseworlds book, the over 20-year-old Elseworlds book, was the one I picked to be my favorite for the week. And, surprise, surprise, it was. It was the one I enjoyed the most. I always like the Elseworld alternate reality stuff. Like I said last week, Alan Davis is a legend. He's, been working in the comic book industry for decades. His writing is great. His art is fantastic, and I'll have segments of that to show you what I'm talking about. It's beautiful, well done art, and it's always great when a creator of, especially of his caliber, is basically just given a sandbox, basically where they're just allowed to play with the whatever toys they want. There's no rules. There's no canon to follow. And in the Elseworlds books, you can do whatever you want because it's a completely made up reality. You can tell any kind of story you like. So it's always fun to watch that. And this was a great story. It's basically the crux of the story is it's called The Nail because it's supposed to be a story about how one little thing can change everything, sort of like the butterfly effect. The day that Superman's rocket crashed on Earth, like what if John and Martha Kent had a nail in the tire of their truck and weren't able to drive into town like they were when they found his rocket. So they weren't around when his rocket crashed. So Superman was never found by this nice farm family, and he wasn't raised by them, and he never became Superman. No one ever knew who he was. So he just wasn't part of the equation anymore. So what would the world be like without him? And you have the Justice League without him. You have a world where Lex Luthor is the mayor of Metropolis, and he's the most beloved mayor of Metropolis, but he's created a very much a police state that keeps metahumans out. His company's super successful. He's, behind a campaign to basically outlaw superhumans with the help of Jimmy Olsen. And it's, as the story ends up, and basically somebody's working against the Justice League to try to make them look bad in the eyes of the public. There's a lot of paranoia and conspiracy. Somebody, created a force field around the Earth itself and gave weapons to people like the Joker. And somebody also started a war between like New Genesis and Apocalypse, so it would keep the Guardians of the Galaxy distracted, or the Guardians of the Universe distracted. You know, the little blue guys that give the Green Lanterns their rings. And in the end, it's revealed that it was all Jimmy Olsen all along. That Lex Luthor was using. They found Superman's rocket. They didn't find him, but they found his rocket, and they found traces of his DNA in it. So they began experimenting with the Kryptonian technology and DNA, and they spliced people with the DNA, including Jimmy Olsen. And Jimmy Olsen was trying to create a new Krypton on Earth. And in the end, they actually do find Superman. Apparently, he was found by an Amish family, and he was being raised in a pacifist community by them until they find him in the end, and then he ends up joining Jimmy Olsen kills his parents, and he fights Jimmy Olsen until Jimmy Olsen dies, and then basically it just goes back to, like the regular, he joins the Justice League and becomes a new hero and everything. But yeah, it's a good story, despite my lackluster description of it. But yeah, like I said, everything this week was good, but yes, this was my pick, and I confirm that this was the right pick. That was last week. What are we looking at this week? Glad you asked. If you actually asked. I don't know if you did. This week, we are looking at Black Widow, Volume 1, The Ties That Bind, by, I should really look this up beforehand, shouldn't I? By Kelly Thompson, yeah, that's what I thought it was. Elena Casagrande, and with Raphael De La Torre as artists. Now, Kelly Thompson's usually a pretty solid read. So we'll see. Let's see. Something is very wrong with Natasha. She's happy. The best-selling Eisner Award-nominated writer Kelly Thompson, like I said, she's very good, joins rising star artist Elena Casagrande to change everything for Natasha Romanoff. The widow has been a spy almost as long as she's been alive, and she's never stopped running, whether she was working for the good guys or the bad. But retirement definitely agrees with the world's deadliest woman as she revels in the perfect life she never dreamed she could have. But scratch the surface of that perfect life. I gotta learn to read better, and you'll find something very wrong lurking beneath it. And a woman like Nat just can't help but scratch. Beyond San Francisco's Golden Gate lies a mystery only the Marvel Universe's greatest spy can solve. Prepare for a can't-miss thrill ride. That sounds pretty interesting, so we'll see. It's not my top choice of the week. Like I said, I saved the best for last, so you can assume what I'm choosing as my best one is the last one. Next up, Dawn of X Volume 15. This is by so many people. Let's see. Let's look at all the writers. We got Leah Williams, Benjamin Percy, Ed Bryson, Gary Dugan, and Jonathan Hickman, of course, with artists David Baldione, Victor Bogdanovich, Marco Falia, Stefano Caselli, Matteo Lolli, and Rod Reese. So, why are there so many writers and why are there so many artists? If you don't know anything about the way the X-Men have done a massive restructuring in the past over a year, where they've basically relaunched their whole comic books line. And in doing so, when it came to the trades, they did something very interesting. Each individual comic book still gets its own unique trade after a couple months. So there's like books like, the X-Men, X-Factor, Wolverine, New Mutants, Marauders, all these different books, and they all get their own individual ones. But all the stories are so wrapped into each other now, they decided to do another interesting thing where they released a separate set of trade paperbacks called Dawn of X, which every month collects different issues of those individual comic books for a given month. So everything that was released around a specific time doesn't even look like the same month, but all books that were released around a specific time and usually have their stories taking place concurrently are all released in their own collected volumes of each other. So like this. So to give an idea of what I mean, this volume collects X Factor number 3, Wolverine number 5, New Mutants 12, Marauders 11 and 12, Giant Size X-Men Phantomax number 1, which is a standalone issue. So it's a bunch of different books, which is why it's a bunch of different writers and artists. It's an interesting way to do things. So you have this. So if you only let's say you only are interested in reading Wolverine, you can just collect the Wolverine volumes. But if say you're someone who's interested in everything the X-Men are doing, you can get Dawn of X, and that will compile everything, so you don't have to buy a bunch of different shit. I like this. This is an interesting way to do things. It's beneficial to the reader. That way, instead of spending your money on a bunch of different volumes of shit, you're just spending money on one and just getting it a bit more piecemeal. I like that. I like what Marvel's doing here, and I appreciate it, and that's why I'm definitely sticking with it. Let's get what they have on the back here. Shocks and surprises in the Dawn of X. Every streamer in the Mojoverse is desperate to get a little of the X magic on their channel, but all X Factor wants is to figure out who murdered a Krakoan citizen. They all live on a giant mutant island called Krakoa. It's not a mutant island because it's full of mutants. It's a mutant island because the island itself is full of mutants. The island itself is a living mutant. If you go back to Giant Size X-Men number 1, way back in, I believe, the 70s, that's where they first introduced Krakoa, as well as it's a long story. Look it up. You can Google it if you really want to. If not, if you don't know. Let's see. A Krakoa citizen. In the snowbound darkness of the North, Wolverine is a prisoner of Dracula. The human world never seems to tire of lashing out at Krakoa, but the new mutants have their ways of returning the favor. Captain Kate Pryde is dead, and the Marauders mourn their staggering loss. And why is the enigmatic Phantomax broken into his own art? Why has the enigmatic Phantomax? I gotta stop trying to read so fast. My mind is not that good. The enigmatic Phantomax broken in his own artificial realm, the world. Now here's the thing. I feel like they keep reprinting stuff. Because I feel like I've read, not like in some cases, like I did get the first volume of Wolverine and X Factor because I wasn't sure if they were going to be part of this or not. Now I know better. So I've actually already read these Wolverine and X Factor stories. New Mutants, I've only been keeping up with this. Same with Marauders. Giant Size X-Men, I swear to God I've read that already. I think it was in a different volume of this. That I really think this took place. They've already released this in a different volume of Dawn of X. I think they reprint shit sometimes if it's a slow month, but that's fine. This will not be my top for the week. I think actually I might just put this first. Now that I think about it, I probably should have done this one first. So whatever. Here's the top for the week. The one I think will be the most interesting to me. The one I'm most interested in, the one I think will be the best one. And that is Captain Marvel, Volume 5. Also by Kelly Thompson. So this is a good week for Kelly Thompson. She was going to win no matter what, with art by Lee Garbett. Captain Marvel's been a pretty good book so far. She's not my favorite character, I'm not going to lie. But this has been a good read. I've been enjoying it. It has a nice blend of down to earth shit and craziness, and I do come to comic books for the craziness. Let's see. A threat unlike any that Captain Marvel has ever known. Carol Danvers has been stolen away to a far future. Interesting. All her mightiest allies are gone, and the enemy she faces has only grown stronger with time. As the secrets behind Ove and his stronghold are revealed, Captain Marvel and her team of old and new friends are dramatically outgunned. Meanwhile, the mysteries, Jesus fucking Christ, surrounding how and why Carol got here begin to reveal themselves. And they're not what anyone expected. Prepare for a no-holds-barred fight against the Mad King for the fate of this strange world. But will saving the future mean sacrificing Captain Marvel's only chance to go home? I'm going to guess no, but, they got to make it dramatic. It would be truly surprising if the answer was yes, and she just stayed in some weird alternate reality and that was the comic book from now on. I would admire the balls on that, but something tells me that's not what's going to happen. Either way, like I said, I do like a good alternate reality story, and this is kind of that. So, I am looking forward to reading it. I think this will be my choice of the week. It'll probably come back and say the same, but we'll see. I think this is going to be a good week of reads regardless. So that's my Friday. Hey, that's what I'll be reading over the weekend. Like this week, I went through them all really quick. That's how you know it's a week that I really enjoy, how quickly I go through it. Sometimes it takes a little longer. This week, I feel like I'm going to be done with all of these before Monday. So this will probably be a good week. So yeah, that's what I got going. What do you got going on your weekends? I don't know. Either way, I hope you enjoy it. I'm trying to stay positive. I hope you can do the same. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.